Erika Kirk was introduced to Charlie Kirk through Donald Trump. She had been procured for like Donald Trump's pageants. She won like Miss Arizona or something. She was literally like a registered actress and starred in a reality TV show, a romance one at that. He met her on a trip to Israel. Charlie met her on one of these wall humping trips.
Never before seen footage from Charlie and Erika Kirk's private wedding has been released, allegedly by his sister Mary.
Never before seen footage from Charlie and Erika Kirk's private wedding has allegedly been released, and according to sources, the claims coming alongside that footage are genuinely explosive. Reports are saying that not only was Charlie allegedly caught up in a honeypot situation, but that Erika allegedly pressured him into marrying her in the first place. And once that claim started circulating alongside the actual footage, the internet did not sit quietly with it for a single second. Fans, online behavioral analysts, and social scientists have been going through that leaked wedding footage frame by frame, and the conclusion a significant number of them are landing on is deeply unsettling. Charlie allegedly appeared visibly unhappy during the ceremony. Nervous, uncertain, almost like someone who wasn't fully sure about the decision he was making at that exact moment in front of witnesses and cameras. Some attributed it to wedding jitters, a completely normal and human response to one of the biggest moments of anyone's life. Others pointed to more specific and observable details: Erika's heavy makeup, her wedding dress that close sources claim didn't align with what Charlie had previously described as his ideal conservative bridal aesthetic. And then there is the claim that has really taken root and spread across every platform that Erika actively and deliberately pressured Charlie into that marriage in ways that went well beyond normal relationship progression. But to fully understand why this claim is generating the reaction it is, you need the full context of who both of these people actually were before they came together. Because that context is where the story gets genuinely complicated and genuinely revealing.
Well, I've never met anyone quite like her. I remember I called Tyler and I said he's gonna have to find talent somewhere else. And whatever opening he thought she would fill, that was not gonna work. And Tyler was trying to coach me down because he said that she was way out of my league. He's still right, by the way.
Erika is 5 years older than Charlie. She married him in her 30s and had children in her 30s, both of which are completely ordinary life choices that deserve zero judgment on their own. She holds at least 2 completed degrees, one from ASU and one from Liberty University, and is actively pursuing a doctorate. She only became CEO of Turning Point USA after Charlie's death, not before or during his lifetime. Now here is where the contrast becomes impossible to ignore, because Charlie Kirk built his entire public brand and political identity around a very specific and very consistent set of traditional values regarding women, marriage, and family structure. He repeatedly and publicly pushed the idea that women should marry and have children before 30. He openly argued that college for women was essentially just a path to a MRS degree rather than a serious career investment. He consistently positioned the idea that a woman's highest and most fulfilling role was in the home, not in the boardroom, not on the runway, not pursuing doctorate degrees while running organizations. And Erika's actual life, her degrees, her CEO title, her career trajectory, her kids after 30, her businesses, her international travel, her media appearances contradicts every single one of those publicly stated preferences, completely and specifically. She was not the traditional wife Charlie described wanting. She was effectively the exact opposite of the woman he spent years telling his audience was the ideal.
I'm there thinking it's a business interview.
It started that way.
Right. So we sit down and you grill me for what, 3 hours?
Yeah.
Easily. On philosophy, politics,
Culture.
religion, culture,
Economics.
What else? Everything else you can imagine, he grilled me. Anything he talks about on his podcast show, he grilled me on. Pretty much.
Just didn't record it.
And then afterwards, he got finished with his burger and he just sat there and he looked at me and he's like, you know what? I'm not going to hire you. And I was like, that's fine. I don't need this job. I'm doing plenty of other things here in Manhattan. He's like, I'm going to date you. And you want to take it from there?
And you said you were kind of confused.
Of course I was confused.
It is reported that months prior to Erika's supposed interview with Charlie,
And that fundamental gap between what Charlie preached publicly and who he actually married has been sitting at the center of this conversation for a long time, long before the wedding footage surfaced and made it significantly more urgent and more personal. Before Erika ever crossed paths with Charlie, she was deeply and consistently career-oriented in ways that leave no room for ambiguity. Her real estate license and position with the Corcoran Group demonstrate professional ambition and drive. Her work with charity organizations that took her across international borders shows someone who was not content to stay close to home and build a quiet domestic life. She reportedly owned and operated a clothing brand. She worked with modeling agencies, including Next Model Management, a company that has come up repeatedly in the broader and more serious conversations surrounding this entire situation. She walked runways, not small local productions, but appearances in serious and visible spaces. On November 23, 2011, Erika won the title of Miss Arizona, going on to represent her state in the Miss USA pageant in 2012. That kind of achievement doesn't happen to someone who isn't motivated, organized, competitive, and publicly ambitious. She appeared on television. She was featured in a CIA documentary discussing power grids and EMP threats, which is a genuinely specific and unusual kind of media exposure that raises its own questions about what circles she was moving through and who was paying attention to her. There is absolutely nothing in any of that documented history that reads as the traditional, home-centered, quiet, conservative lifestyle that Charlie Kirk consistently and publicly described as the ideal he was looking for in a partner. Now add one more layer that makes the full picture even more interesting. Erika's mother, Lori. Sources confirm that Lori had deep and documented ties to military contractors going back to her association with companies, including Raytheon, along with multiple LLCs in her name. Lori was, by any honest characterization, a consistently working and professionally driven woman, and according to all available accounts, she was Erika's primary and most influential role model throughout her life.
But just know that nothing is by mistake. Nothing. I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband, well, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line, and I remember looking behind me, and in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar, and as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence.
Which means the woman who shaped Erika's understanding of what a successful and fulfilling life looks like was never the stay-at-home domestic figure that Charlie's entire public philosophy celebrated and promoted. Erika was raised watching a woman who worked constantly, maintained serious professional connections, and built businesses, and she followed that model consistently and visibly throughout her entire adult life before Charlie. So how exactly does someone with that background, those degrees, that career history, those international connections, and that deeply embedded drive end up married to the most prominent public voice for traditional gender roles in conservative American media? That question is what is driving the most intense part of this conversation, and the answers being offered are not flattering to the narrative that has been presented publicly. Reports are now claiming that months before Erika's supposed interview with Charlie, which allegedly turned into a proposal on the very first day, Tyler Bowyer had been actively and consistently speaking highly of Erika to Charlie in private. But according to sources, it wasn't just straightforward praise and professional admiration. Tyler allegedly framed it as a personal challenge to Charlie, essentially suggesting that Erika was completely out of his league and daring him to pursue her. That specific framing is significant because it suggests the introduction wasn't organic or accidental. It was engineered with a specific psychological hook designed to appeal to Charlie's competitive nature. But sources are taking that claim even further, and this is where things get genuinely uncomfortable. Reports allege that before Tyler Bowyer ever stepped into the picture as an informal matchmaker, Erika and her mother Lori had already been making deliberate attempts to encounter Charlie organically for years, and consistently failing to make that connection stick. Then there is the story Erika herself has told publicly about once seeing a man in a ticket line who looked familiar, being encouraged by her mother to go introduce herself, and only discovering years later that the man was Charlie. That story has all the emotional beats of a romantic and fated meeting, but placed directly alongside the claim that she and her mother had been actively trying to get into Charlie's orbit for years. Before that supposed coincidence, it starts sounding considerably less like fate and considerably more like a long-running and deliberate strategy that finally found its opening. While Charlie was alive, sources say Erika played the traditional wife role with genuine skill and consistency, mostly at home with the children or with her mother. The few times she made public appearances alongside Charlie, she showed up with minimal makeup, clean and simple styling, hair worn naturally, modest jewelry, a capsule wardrobe that communicated exactly the aesthetic Charlie's audience expected and respected. The clean girl look, perfectly calibrated to the brand Charlie had built and the audience he served. But the moment Charlie's passing became public, the transformation was immediate and dramatic. The Super Bowl rings appeared, the heavy makeup returned, the sequined gowns and bold theatrical outfits started appearing at event after event, and that visible and rapid shift between two completely different presentations of the same woman is what has kept this particular line of questioning alive and growing. Right now, sources described as close to Charlie's sister Mary are making very specific and very serious claims, alleging that Erika pulled every available stop to secure that marriage proposal and get Charlie to commit. According to those sources, the strategy allegedly included that carefully positioned airport encounter, the deliberate cultivation of Tyler Bowyer as an internal advocate who could work on her behalf,
how to be a biblical woman in society. I think it was Elizabeth Elliot that said, being a woman does not make me a better Christian or a certain Christian, but being a Christian makes me a very different woman. And I think understanding, yes, your biblical role, but also like, be the woman that your future husband deserves. Like, be the woman that, you know, God wants you to be. You don't have to be out partying. Don't, you know, be crazy thinking like I'm running out of time when your God is the author of time.
and ultimately, once the relationship was established, applying direct pressure on Charlie to move toward marriage, using the straightforward reality that she was older and felt the clock ticking. "I'm not getting any younger" is the specific phrase being attributed to that pressure campaign, and in the context of everything else being alleged, it lands with significant weight. The online reaction to all of this has been immediate, pointed, and in some cases, genuinely wild. One commenter went straight to the airport story saying, "Not coincidence." She was sent to be his handler. Another placed an actual financial bet on their theory, writing, "I got $5 that she met DT at an Epstein party and was planted to go after CK, because DT understood the power he had and needed an inside person. Once DT found out CK wanted the Epstein files open from her, DT had to take him out. They'd only been married 4 years, and I guarantee they got married in less than 1 year of knowing each other." And then there was the comment that captured the full range of what the audience has been building toward. She has always been a self-absorbed, attention-seeking narcissist. From her pageant days to reality TV to chasing Charlie Kirk and pretending she didn't know who he was. Now it must be stated clearly and consistently these are claims, theories, and allegations. More evidence regarding all of this is reportedly being gathered and will surface as it becomes available and verifiable. But the pattern of questions being raised, the specific details being pointed to, and the growing number of sources willing to speak about what they claim to know are all making this story harder to dismiss and easier to take seriously with every new development. What do you actually think about everything being discussed here? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, and watch the next video. Because the allegations surrounding Erika Kirk are only getting more intense from here, and you are going to want to be locked in when the next wave hits.